continue our tour of downtown historical Cebu to Plaza Independencia, which is 2 blocks east of Plaza Sugbo. The statue you're seeing here was erected to commemorate Magsaysay, who was elected as the country's 7th president in November 1953. Magsaysay became active in fighting against the expansion of communism in the Asian region. He made the Philippines a member of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, which was established in Manila on 8th of September 1954. Magsaysay's active coordination with the Japanese government led to the reparation agreement between the Philippines and Japan, obligating the Japanese government to pay $550 million as reparations fund for war damages in the Philippines. But on 17th of March 1957, President Magsaysay, often referred to as the champion of the Filipino masses, died at the age of 59 when his presidential plane tragically crashed on Mount Mananggul, just north of Cebu City. Plaza Independencia is the oldest and largest civic space in Cebu City. Various names have been used to refer to the Plaza Independencia throughout its history. In the 17th century it was known as the Plaza des Armes. When it was widened later on and expanded to reach nearby properties of the Cathedral of Cebu, it was called Plaza Maya. In the latter part of the Spanish colonial era in the Philippines, the civic space was further landscaped and developed. It was referred to as the Plaza Maria Cristina, in honour of Queen Maria Cristina of the Two Sicilies. Sometime during the American colonial period of the first half of the 20th century, the square was known as the Plaza Libertad. The plaza's current name was adopted sometime prior to the start of World War II. Today the plaza is a popular hangout for many living or working around the area. It covers 4 hectares, one huge garden with acacia trees, ornamental plants and flowers. There was also some tourism event taking place on the day I visited. As I said on my previous video, I find it weird how people pose in front of statues they know nothing about. Magellan's Cross, do they know the significance of that? So this obelisk is dedicated to the memory of Miguel López de Legazpi, the first Spanish Governor General of the Philippines. I'm sure if you asked these young girls who the obelisk was dedicated to and you said Legazpi, they wouldn't have a clue who you're talking about. What I love about the Philippines is how friendly Filipinos are. You can barely travel more than a few yards before somebody says hi. How are you? Where are you from? Welcome to the Philippines. Philippines have a general interest in you which you won't find in other Asian countries. It's great that the majority of people speak English. Here you can have a conversation with the cashier in the supermarket. You simply can't do that in Thailand, unless you speak Thai. I'm heading towards the beautiful people. Hello beautiful people, how are you? You're quite shy. One thing that Cebu lacks is parks and greenery and places to hang out. So it was such a shame during lockdown when this place was closed. It has only recently been opened. I visited the plaza on a Sunday, so it was quite popular. You'd also find it busy early evening when many people come here to hang out. Carry on, do your little TikTok thing. Go on, do it. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well.
Where are you from?
UK.
Okay, nice.
Where are you?
From Germany.
Are you?
Oh, are you? Do you have a YouTube channel where you vlog?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Nice. Do you wanna? I could check them out. Are you like?
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
It's your.
You've been hijacked by Bigg World Cinema. Please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. So we've been following the perimeter wall of the fort of San Pedro, a military defence structure built by the Spanish under the command of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, who was the first governor of the Captaincy General of the Philippines. Legazpi's original fort, dated from 1565, was made of wood. In the early 17th century, a stone fort was built to repel Muslim raiders. Today's structure dates from 1738 and is the oldest triangular bastion fort in the country, serving as the nucleus of the first Spanish settlement in the Philippines. The victory of the Americans at the Battle of Manila Bay on May 1st, 1898 marked the end of the Spanish era in the Philippine Islands. At this time, the fort was also attacked and surrendered by the Spaniards to the Cebuano revolutionaries during the Philippine Revolution. Fort San Pedro became part of the American Warwick Barracks during the American regime. From 1937 to 1941, the barracks were converted into a school where many Cebuanos received their formal education. During World War II, from 1942 to 1945, Japanese residents of the city took refuge within the walls. When the battle to liberate the city of Cebu from the Imperial Japanese forces was fought, the fort served as an emergency hospital for the wounded. From 1946 to 1950, Fort San Pedro was an army camp, and after 1950 the Cebu Garden Club took over and fixed the inner part and converted it into a miniature garden. In 1957, Mayor Sergio Osmeña Jr. announced he wanted to demolish Fort San Pedro and erect a new city hall. This started a movement against the demolition idea, and when confronted by civic leaders and society heads, Osmeña caved in and said he will use instead the space behind the fort. In the same year, the City Council commissioned a religious sect named the Lamplighter to manage a zoo subsidised by the city within the fort courtyard. By 1968, the facade, quarters and walls of the original structures of Fort San Pedro were so obliterated that only the two towers were recognisable. Plans for the restoration of the fort were started and the zoo was relocated. Restoration of Fort San Pedro was a tedious, time and labour-consuming project. To restore the fort as close to the original as possible, coral stones which were hauled from under the sea along Cebu coastal towns were utilised. Delivered crudely cut to the restoration site, the fort labourers did the final cutting and polishing to make the blocks fit each other. The project took a while, but by the 1970s both Fort San Pedro and Plaza Independencia were consolidated into a major tourist attraction for the city. I've mentioned before that I'm not a great fan of tourist sites per se, but actually it's quite a lovely place to come to and while away an afternoon. I mean, there's space here, it's quiet, it's empty, there's not many people come to visit. So you could come with your book and sit and read for a couple of hours. For 30 pesos, why not? The fort is open from 8 AM till 5 PM, Monday to Sunday. If you liked the video, please could you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.